not the whole responsibility is on me as a service provider, and rather it's like it's a collaborative process, and always looking for that even if tomorrow Shubhankar is not there, like how can things be self-sustainable?
Hi everyone. So nice to have you back here on our weekly show where we are asking the what if question to picture a world we can help create together. You just heard Subhankar Paul. He is the founder of Lantern Edu Sports Foundation, a not-for-profit organization working closely with under-resourced schools in the state of Maharashtra in India. Lantern was founded in 2018 with a vision to achieve exceptional learning outcomes for the children's overall development, regardless of their demographic and economic determinants. To understand this better, Shubhankar takes us back in time.
Like growing up in a small town, I always felt I was privileged to get where I was from, considering the humble background that I was from. Like my mother was from a scheduled caste family in a remote village, and my father from a family who migrated to India during the 1947 partition. And the entire family had to start all over again. I had lived a privileged life because my parents took the pain and fought against all odds to get educated, right? And when I looked at my cousins, or when I used to go back to my native place, or my mother's place, like I would see like their sort of peers, like people who grew up with my parents. Their life is so different from our lives, and just being a tier two city and compared to that from a rural area, the opportunities that I had and the access, and basically, if you can say that I read storybooks, I went for like sports coaching, I went for a drawing class, and I went to English medium convent school, and like my cousins or like my parents' peers, their children, they were devoid of all this, and it was just a matter of 3 hours, 4 hours from where we stayed, like the village and town where we stayed. Anyway, it was all again that my parents had taken up this pain to pursue education and sort of had hardships in their life where they had to stay away from the family and do odd jobs and just complete the education. So, I mean, it was all because of that. And I felt very privileged and fortunate that I was at a right end of the spectrum. So I did my engineering like the middle class family. The parents always have desire that the child has to become an engineer or a doctor. And actually I'm a software engineer by qualification. And after finishing my graduation, I joined Accenture in Mumbai. And 2 years into my job, and after some soul searching, I realized that I didn't want to do this throughout my life. I wanted to do a job and which could contribute directly to remove the inequality in the society. Right. And I was not sure what I would do. Like education was not something that I thought of, like working in the education sector. But I think I just wanted to do something for the society and the community. And that is when I came across Teach for India. And I think more than the teaching aspect, which was advertised, like the leadership bit of it, like actually become a leader and you can lead changes in the classroom, in the school, in the community. I think that sort of appealed to me, and I joined the Teach for India Fellowship.
In the second year, with my students in school, I felt a little helpless as I wasn't able to integrate any form of sporting activities for them to engage in. We had no infrastructure dedicated to sports, nor did we have coaching capabilities. And this was a common occurrence in most public schools. Lucky for us, Shubhankar's school team had set up the Right Pitch tournament, which was an inter-school cricket competition open to all schools associated with Teach for India. And before we knew it, we had practice equipment, a cricket coach, and a group of extremely happy and excited faces ready to train for the tournament.
So my first introduction to the students was in 2014 when I was placed in a 8th grade classroom in Shivaji Nagar, Govandi. It has the lowest human development index all over India. Like it's ironically there's a link road, like it's a freeway, Chembur to the South Bombay. There's a freeway. And to one end of the freeway is Govandi, like which is the lowest human development index, and the other end of this 22 kilometers long freeway is like South Bombay, which has the highest human development index in India. So that's the irony there. So there were like 140 bright-eyed adolescent kids that I was responsible for, and when I went in the classroom, I found the students were very restless. It was difficult for them to see instant results from hard work, and the constant disappointment that they are seen in the community has normalized an attitude of disrespect in the classroom. Yeah. Like they would just not take anything seriously. And some of them were perceive themselves as slow learners or unable to learn, and the apathy to their immediate environment. Like they would just given up on studies, like they would just given up on life, and they would get into like bad habits. They would be very abusive. They would get into like substance abuse and all, like outside school. And if they had a choice, they would not have been in school. Like they would just roam around and like do random things throughout the day. So they were given this tough community landscape. No fanciful behavior management techniques worked with them, and all the classroom outcomes in the first couple of months were abysmal. I was like, what am I doing here? Like, what am I even trying to change? Like, what is my goal? And in the midst of all this cacophony of disappointments, I realized that the students loved sports, and they would be at the best behavior on the day they had a PT lecture to make sure that they didn't miss out on it. So other teachers and all, they would be very scared to take them for PT, because just the year before I joined, there was a like student who fell in the like a sewage canal just beside the school. Like there was a small place just beside the school where students can run, play, and all. It was not a proper playground. Just beside that was an open sewage canal, and the previous year's student had fallen down in that. So the teachers were really scared to take them out, and I mean, I just took the risk. Let me take them out, and because I was also like very inclined towards sports, and I mean, I played sports when I was young. So I just I used to take them out, and they were at the best behavior on that day. And I would make it a point, if you are behaving well, only then I'll take you it. And they had only 1 hour of playtime in the week, and they would just chase each other or play hide and seek in the backyard of the school, as I said. The school did not have any proper playground equipment or like physical education teacher, and but that they would run around and just be with their friends. Like some of them would be just chatting and just having the time. So that free time, I think that is something that students missed a lot, and there wasn't any opportunity to truly and blissfully play. So I realized this can be something I can use, this sort of a challenge I can turn it into an opportunity, like in a different way. The idea of using sports as a tool to impact behavior and associated learning outcomes of the children came to me, and I started rewarding the students who displayed good behavior throughout the week for sports. Like I would take them for sports. So we had Fridays and Sundays off. The school was in a like a mosque compound, so we had Fridays also off. So, and then I used to take them for sports on Fridays if they had behaved well throughout the week, like they done the homework or they were present for like at least 4 days in the week. So this, then I would take them for sports, and this worked like magic. The students, even the most disinvested ones, started working hard for this reward. Like they were completing the classwork and homework on time in order to get to play on these Fridays. I reached out to a few other fellows once I saw that this was working out well, and actually whatever I was trying to sort of tell them in the class, like be respectful or work together and don't abuse and like follow rules. So this was all happening like very organically in the sports field. And I thought maybe this can be replicated in other classrooms also. So some other fellows, like I got to know, like we were also struggling with adolescent kids. Then we met and discussed like how can we promote this further. And so we thought of why don't we have a inter-school competition for interested school. So leading to the tournament, we organized some training sessions for the participants to prepare them better. So we got some lesson plans, so basically where we would focus on certain life skills or values, do a reflection circle at the end of the playtime, and we also got proper playing equipment, clothing, and shoes for them. So this program instilled a lot of confidence in the students, and during the training sessions and the matches, we could see that the leadership qualities in students, they were actually prominently coming out, and students were also imbibing values like hard work, respect, and grit. It also helped to break gender stereotypes, as girls participated in the program too. Like in the first 3 years, it was a mixed gender team, like across all age categories, and later on we had a good participation of girls, so we actually could have separate teams for girls and boys. But then what happened was it was able to break the gender stereotypes, and girls from in the younger classrooms as well as from the elder classroom also they participated, and there was a lot of unrest in the community because of that, because coming from a very conservative community. But then I think the gender stereotype was broken over time. And a lot of positive changes were seen, like children taking ownership to be on time on the practice ground, like they're showing self-control to choose healthy food, and making plans together for a match, giving and taking feedback from each other. We were thrilled to see so many desirable impacts in the life of the students, and decided that we should do this program every year. And that is how we started the right pitch, the life skills come sports development program for children from underprivileged backgrounds. And so this was my Be the Change project. Teach for India fellows, they pick up a problem that they see in the classroom or the school or the community and try to find a solution to it. And that is the project that they have. And yeah, so it started from 2014, 15. I stayed on with my students for 3 years. So this was eighth grade when I had joined them, and I stayed on with them through ninth and 10th grade. So not only did I teach them their academic subjects, but also I felt that there was a need to be the mentor, and obviously with the right pitch coming in, I was a sports coach, and at times I was like their elder brother too. I realized that with all my efforts in the 3 years, I have been able to do get some desirable impact in terms of like the community trusting me, the parents trusting me, and actually the students actually able to see that a big picture for them, like having big goals and ambitions for them. Even the girls also, like the parents were also very open to send them to colleges outside of Govandi, like maybe to South Bombay or at least to the others. So that much that was happening. But what I realized with all this efforts and like 3 years, I was only able to work with 140 students, and which who were in the class, and there are more than 2,000 students in the same school, and 320 million children all over India not received the quality education, this constant reinforcement or like a positive narration by a teacher in their lives. So after finishing my fellowship, I worked as an assistant school leader in a low-income school in Malvani, Mumbai. So this is with the teachers also, like with the teachers in the school, and I tried new structures. Basically, whatever I had experimented and come up with during my fellowship years in my classroom, I tried to put it across the entire school, grade pre-primary to grade 10. I was working with the teachers and sort of trained them, like had like a whole year long term plan, like not only for subjects but also for the school as a whole. Then observed the lessons, gave feedback, and leadership conversations with the teachers. So basically, it was not only about pushing the teachers to teach in a better way, but also like become that mentor, become that guide, become that person where the students can actually bond with and the students can look up to. Something which, as a fellow, I was able to do. I wanted the teachers I was working with, like they would be also able to do that, their students. I had my moments of joy when I saw the teachers, they use new teaching techniques and made structures for behavior management, or whatever feedback I gave, they implemented immediately. One of the biggest wins would be maybe stop hitting the kids, even though RT Act was passed like way back in 2003, but then corporal punishment was a big still a thing. Like it was not like the awareness was not there, and even parents would come and tell, if this child is not listening, why don't you hit the child? Stopping that and using behavior management techniques, not giving them corporal punishment. That was, I think, one of the biggest wins then. But I also struggled a lot with tracking student outcomes, because what I felt was the teachers. They would not get the crux of it when it was just told to follow certain structures. And there was again the consistency with structures was not there, because they were just following instructions, and maybe, as I said, like the mindsets of the school staff, management, and parents, that was something which needed to change. And also I felt sometimes there was a lack of integrity in terms of like what they were reporting and what was actually happening. So this, I realized that there are too many challenges in the school and community, and it cannot be dependent on few teachers or like someone from outside to, or like a school leader to like be sort of be the change maker. It has to be a movement. Then I thought, okay, what is some that which made me so invested in the vision? One day all children will attain an excellent education. And the answer was like the Teach Finder fellowship experience I went through, like leadership development journey that I went through. I think that is something which actually helped me in my transition from my computer science engineer to someone who was like into education and social work, and dreamt of reaching out to as many children as possible, making holistic education a reality for them. So I thought, like, why can't we have some of the existing teachers and school leaders from the community to undergo a similar experience of a leadership development journey, and then after the fellowship, empower them to lead changes in the community. So it was with this thought I founded Lantern Edu Sports Foundation. The vision was to provide holistic education to all children from underprivileged families by empowering passionate educators from the community, which started as a project in my Teach Finder classroom with 140 children, has grown over the last 6 years, and we have worked with more than over 3,000 students and 50 teachers and 30 sports coaches from over 25 schools, and more than 10 communities in Mumbai. So right now we are working with two schools in Malvani, where we are implementing the whole school transformation program with them, like trying to help the school with improving the student learning outcomes by working with the teachers as well as school leaders and coming up with a common school development plan.
So, in all this wonderful work that you have been doing, who would you say are the heroes, the ones who have pioneered the goals and the mission that you have?
I think the heroes of my organization would be the student alumni and the teachers and the sports coaches that we have trained from the community. I always believe that there are talented and passionate people in the community. They just need to be motivated, given access and exposure, and a platform to express themselves. So most of the settlers are migrants from the other backward states of India who have shifted to Mumbai for work and income. Men work as wagers or cab drivers or rickshaw drivers, security guards in the nearby societies and malls. And the female members either work as maids or are involved in the small scale industries in the community or are homemakers. So these parents, like they feel education can move them out of poverty, and with high hopes they send their children to schools, and whatever little they have they invest in their education. Right. And how difficult is it like to come from outside and create a sustainable change here? So that's the reason I would say that the heroes of my organization are people from the community who have reached a certain level of, I would say, self-realization. They have realized what the potential, that superpower that they have to create changes, the self-belief that they have got. I think the amazing work that they have been doing, like it. So I think the mission for us was to create a movement of leaders in the community, and I've seen how the student alumni, the teacher, and the sports coaches have gone ahead and started their own little initiative in the classroom, in the school, or in the community. And the most satisfying part is whatever they do is well thought out and in a planned manner. It's not like a knee-jerk reaction. Like they have set smart goals and they do not get demotivated when the progress is slow. They've developed a lot of critical thinking and problem solving skills and take the ownership of creating changes in the class, school, or community. And one thing I must say that they're very brave and they're not afraid to fail. And that I think becomes very important because what you're trying to do and what the community is trying to do is for the long run. It's not a sprint, but it's a marathon. So having that realization is very important. Hi, it's me again. Remember the right pitch tournament my kids were a part of? They didn't win that year. And that was okay, because what they won is an opportunity, one that allowed them to train in a sport together and take that team spirit on the field. It is commonly understood that one's circumstances dictate the opportunities that open up for them in life. But sometimes, it is a matter of opening those closed doors and saying, "Hi there, let's share this opportunity and build something valuable together." In terms of impact, even though there are numbers and all I can share, but I think I always want to talk about these three people. So one is a school leader in Malwani, Farid sir. One is a teacher, Samreen Miss, again from Malwani. And another is a student alumni who was my student and who was a part of Right Pitch and is from Govandi. If I talk about Farid sir, so he has been one of the like most inspiring school leaders that I have worked with, and I would say that journey that he has taken upon himself, like to change the face of education in Malwani, and it's a collaborative process. I feel like with him, like it's not the whole responsibility is on me as a service provider, and rather it's like it's a collaborative process and always looking for that even if tomorrow Subhankar is not there, like how can things be self-sustainable, right? Within the 15 days of the school shutdown, like the online learning session was started. So we just got on a call, we discussed, this is something that the high-income schools are doing and learning for them hasn't stopped. And like, he was like, can we do it for our teachers? And then like we together planned and we came up with a teacher training program, like where we sort of upskill the teachers how to use Zoom, how to make presentations, how to use like YouTube videos, how to record that and all, and how to upload on YouTube, basically. So started, and then he himself started attending webinars and learning best practices and like how I would do that, and then we would come back and debrief. Okay, this is something we can do in the school. And one thing I really like about is like he has his standard operating procedures. Not only he did it for the online learning, and but even before that, also when normal in-person physical school was going on, that time also he had standard operating procedures to make sure his time is free for like taking the more critical decision.
Right.
And it was academic learning, like which was online, but also like he organized sessions for the social and emotional well-being. Like he organized a virtual parents meeting, and there was an online student presentation. So, and apart from that, at the beginning, like when the lockdown was full force, we actually collaborated and four other school leaders, and we raised funds. Like the Teach for India fellows, there were school leaders, and like there was Teach for India alumni. And like we were able to sort of help more than 3,000 families, like in Malvani, and some of them multiple times. So I'm just like talking about this initiative, like this. This is the stories that I'm not saying this has happened because of me, and the impact is totally on something that Lantern or Shubhankar has contributed to. But I feel like there are people like this who are leaders, and they just needed to be given that exposure, that needed to be given that opportunity and a platform to express themselves. And sometimes they would need some guidance, some sort of connection, some networking to be made,
Right.
and they're self-sufficient. The other person I would like to talk about is Samreen Miss. She was in her family, like she was always looked down upon because, like again, like in a family from a low income background, like women are always looked as liabilities, and they have to be sort of taken care of, and they have to be like provided for, and they will have to be get married off, and all that looked at liabilities. And that is something that she really felt bad about, and why she wanted to have a career for herself and like sort of do a job and be successful in her life. So that was the motivation that she had. And yeah, obviously, like she was a great teacher, and like she learned a lot, and she delivered a lot of learning outcomes in the class. But like she didn't complete her education like that way. She didn't have a teaching degree and all. So she knew that she has to earn more or go to a better school or something. Like she needed this like degree, right? And there was an opportunity where a distance learning course had opened up, and then she could actually uh, do that distance learning course, like get certified as a teacher and still continue her job. But then she didn't have the money to register or enroll for that course. Obviously, she couldn't ask her family for money. So she actually took a gold loan. She kept her earrings at a bank or a lender, and then she took money and she paid for the course fee of that course. So that is a kind of investment that has happened, like people trusting them, and they are able to see the successes, right? And then that leads motivates them to do even more things that they never thought themselves they would be doing it in general. And lastly, I would like to talk about Saeed. So he is one of my students, and right now he's opened up his own community center in Govandi. So he's in the first year of his college right now. He's just passed grade 12 this year. He's in the first year of his college, and for almost like a year and a half, like this was when he was in his 12th grade only, that he had started. He had taken up a community center. Like there was a space there in the community, and he had started teaching students there, and younger students like English, and like help them with the school work and all, because the learning that happens in school wasn't like sufficient enough. Like students would need more help, and they were like from poor backgrounds, so they couldn't actually afford tuitions. This is where Saeed then took up the responsibility of training these kids, and not only it was limited to only academics, but also he made play sports. He tried to collaborate with me, where I could give him some equipment, and then I sort of helped him out with some other networks. He also reached out to some people from TIS, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, which is very near to Govandi, and he made those connections, and actually got some like books, and he set up a library in his community center. So this is like what I mean by like the community driving the changes. Like these are all people from the community, and they have been able to see like what a little bit of dedication and grit and just that self confidence does. And now they are just taking their destiny in their own hands, and like making sure that it's not only that they are getting the benefits, but also the community as a whole are getting the benefits. Regular reflection brings out the best out of people, and as an organization, we have been trying to build in the reflective practices in our staff, the stakeholders that we work with. Instead of telling them, "Ki, this is what you should do," or this was right, this was wrong, like we give them this thinking questions where they can just sit back, take a step back, and reflect. Okay, this is what I did. What are the consequences? What are the mindsets that I was operating from? And then like let them decide something that they desired. Is it something that they would do it again? So I think that leads to, this reflective process leads to more independence in terms of like the decision making that these people would do, the teachers or the students. it would be like something which would not need to be directed every now and then. They would follow instructions when they have to follow instructions, but they would not be waiting for instructions always, and they would know what to do, what is the right thing to do, and like they would be actually true to themselves. The other thing that we have learned is collaborative planning with input from all stakeholders. So how we generally work is like we start with an orientation with the school leaders and teachers and some student leaders, where we explain why are we there and how can we help and come up with goals for the year. So we always look for this collaborative approach rather than see us as a service provider. So this makes the stakeholders responsible for the outcomes and gets them invested in the process, right? It makes people equally responsible for change and also builds their capacity to continue the process when Lantern or Shubhankar is not there. And I think the third thing, I think this might be a very cliched one, but then I feel like where there's a will, there is a way. Grit can overcome all barriers, and like most barriers are mind blocks. I think we feel like okay, we didn't. These people are from the community. They're not from good colleges, or they didn't have the best of life experiences. They might not be that great leaders. And I think this is the same thing, that it's not what other people perceive of like people coming from low income background, but also the inherent thoughts and feelings that they have for themselves. Like I think there's a mind block there. Like if you maybe ask a child or a teacher or a principal like from a low income background school or community and ask the same kind of or like maybe just have a face off like between a child from an affluent family, apart from the actual skills or the actual knowledge, like I think they'll start thinking about the background and like where they have come from, and they'll just start doubting them. Yeah, and then I mean a simple thing which has to be done, like they might just start finding excuses to why they can't do it, rather than find the one reason why they can do it. They would find thousand excuses why they can't do it, and I think it's all in the mind. So yeah.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that's also something that I strongly believe in, that regardless of your background or your socioeconomic condition, those things do not define who you are. And sometimes, in most cases, it is the society that imposes such mindset into young children, and as they grow up they start believing that they are that person, and those are the things that define them. But it is inspiring to hear that you have been working with some passionate educators who are not letting such barriers or thoughts or mindset stop them from realizing their true potential, and the same goes for the kids. And that's the vision I have for education in India, where words like underprivileged, under-resourced, or economically challenged do not exist in the dictionary of education, if you would like to call it that. Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
When you look ahead, what do you envision for the newly merged Barefoot Edu Foundation? And what are your hopes? What are your dreams? What is the bigger picture that you see when you think of this new synergy?
There's so many people who are doing similar work, but then they're not talking to each other. They're just working in silos. And like I strongly believe like in collaboration, and like together we really can do so much. I've always believed in the power of collaboration, and that's why if I would just want to share this story, and if it inspires some co-founders of like some organization just to think about like where are the possible places like where they can collaborate instead of doing everything by themselves. Like it would be a good thing. So like Lantern and Barefoot, they were both incubators of an incubation program, Edumentum, and it is in one of these base camps that was organized by the incubator that we came to know each other well. And from conversations to know each other's program better, we understood that it was very easy to work with each other because we had the similar kinds of belief systems, the values, the work ethic, and yeah. So initially we thought of sharing an office space when we would come back to Mumbai, and like have maybe common consultants for finance and legal, etc.
Right.
And then we thought of starting a program together. But COVID came, and along with that, the challenges posed to education continuity in the low income space also came. So that program couldn't go ahead, and neither we could actually take up an office together or like like start share resources. But then we were just discussing how can we support our the school that we are working in, and we collaboratively came up with an idea of a school leadership incubator, like by the name Renuma. So in this program, we envision that the school leader is an entrepreneur and the school is an organization. And what we would do, we would be building the capacity of the school leader, not only in school management, but also in communication, fundraising, entrepreneurial mindset. so that they can undertake the school transformation projects themselves. So they would not require a lantern or a barefoot to come and do the transformation for them. They would be with us. Like it would be like a fellowship for the basically the school leaders. They would come be a part of this track. They would learn the different aspects of becoming an entrepreneur, like communications, fundraising, and also obviously the school management bit. And they would be able to make sure that the school is progressing and they're able to not only this COVID situation, but also in general, like how schools, these low income schools, they struggle a lot, like in terms of like sustaining themselves, like going from one level to the next level. So how can they actually do that? So both the organizations came together to solve a common challenge that the low income private schools were facing of sustainability and effective school management, which got aggravated due to the lockdown. We brought in our collective skills and experiences and brainstormed and came up with this idea of this leadership incubator. And it was then we realized, okay, it makes more sense to like work together as one organization because anyway, I was looking for co-founders and didn't have to go that far. Like there were two of them, Jonathan and Soumya, like from Barefoot, and the ideologies matched, and we had complementary skills, and the kind of work ethic that we have, like, it's very similar. We thought, why not like we get ourselves merged? As I said, like together we can do so much more that both the teams coming together. And I feel that we are a very agile and talented team that we have. Like, and looking ahead, I can see a lot of innovation in the education space. Like from our end, especially with the national education policy being announced, which also mentions holistic education and integration of co-curriculars and academics. Right. I envision Barefoot to be helping with effective implementation because that is something which you have seen in the past also, that the hefty policies of the government, they fall flat and the marginalized sector doesn't get to reap the benefits as the implementation plan is not contextual, not broken down, or there's not enough buttress basically at that level. So in this regard, I'm hopeful of partnership with the government too and taking our programs to many more districts and schools. I really like the idea that you make the school leader believe that they're an entrepreneur and the school is their organization, because that really changes the way you then approach and operate. And hopefully that will reap some really good rewards in the future. Okay, so now we come to the what if question. This is a question that hopes to get everyone thinking about all the good work that can come out, us collaborating, picturing a world that we can create together. So,
What if a group of your students come to you in 5 years' time and they ask you for advice on how they can start their own movement of leaders? What would you tell them?
I think the first thing that I'll tell them is to believe in your idea, whatever idea they have in terms of creating that movement. So just to believe in that idea, no matter if there's no other supporter. Because what I've seen in my students, and I've also maybe discussed before, in terms of when we are dealing with this children from the economically challenged background or from the socially challenged backgrounds, there's always an inhibition in them, that doubt in them, that are we good enough? Dreams are also very limited, and because they have no role models in the community, they have not seen people who have taken that path before and become successful and really been able to sort of achieve more than what like other people in the community have achieved. So that self-belief and like the confidence is like building that is a challenge, I think. So we have been working a lot on this mindset bit also, like along with developing the skills and the capacities in them, like giving exposing to them to the knowledge. Apart from that, like also the building that I can mindset in them. And so, as I said, like the first thing that I would want them is to believe in their own ideas, no matter if nobody is supporting them or it seems like very utopian, even if that is the case. But then just believe in that idea. And even if they have some sort of failures in the well starting off, just be gritty, like accept the defeats with humility. If there's something that they have not done properly, own it up, say sorry, move on. And initiatives can fail, but people move on. They build on the next big thing. So I think that mindset, they need to have it in them. Be honest, being honest to the stakeholders, even if they're working with the community or they're trying to form partnerships with other NGOs or then form partnerships with the government funder or something, just be honest to the stakeholders. And again, like
just be humble and say that it's something we're trying to innovate. And obviously, when you're trying to innovate, like even Thomas Alva Edison, he failed 99 times before he invented the light bulb. So just keep the dialogue alive. Even if you're making a mistake, just admit it, move on, and I mean, not feel shy about talking about your ideas openly. Like just be very outlandish, think big, and walk the talk. So even if you have that idea, as I said, which you feel like is not properly cooked, it's not properly shaped up, ask for help. Like just share your ideas, try to crowdsource more into it, try to flesh it out, but then be very confident about what you are trying to do and don't feel shy about it. I mean, it's an idea that you have, and you do have certain skills, capabilities to actually come up with that idea, to be brave enough to come up with that idea. So just be very open about it. And other thing I think I should tell them is, I have realized after being in the sector for like some time, you need to stay fit, you need to eat healthy, you need to have a focus on the well-being so that you battle hard, because this is not like a one-time thing that you just do it and it starts off and then it will just go into autopilot mode. You have to keep in investing, you have to get in more people, you have to keep on reinventing. So get that, find time to stay fit, get the time to do whatever, like whichever makes you happy, spend time with family, like get that emotional energy also. So that it's a long hard battle. You need to actually sustain and survive yourself, and then only maybe magic you can see some years down the line. And just to sum it up, like I'll just say, stay hungry, stay foolish.
Now, another question I like including in the show is about gratitude, which I believe is very important. So, Shubhankar, what are you grateful for today?
Thank you. I think even I also take this time out, like at least if not on a daily basis, at least in a couple of days, at least like just reflect, make sure to express that gratitude. Makes you feel that you were just one piece of the puzzle, and there's so many stakeholders, so many other people also who are contributing to like the bigger picture.
Yes.
So I'm grateful for many things, but if I have to call out just one thing, I think I'm really grateful for having a amazing set of co-founders after this merger. Like who are more than colleagues, they're smart, they're very passionate about the cause, they appreciate my work. As I said before, like we share the same values, belief systems, vision, have complementary skills. It's like a match made in heaven. I feel together we can do so much. I really have very high hopes in terms of like, the work that we will do in future, and I'm really excited about the future. So I'm very grateful for having Jonathan and Soumya as my co-founders in Barefoot.
From the right pitch to Lantern to now Barefoot Edu Foundation. What started as an effort to actively engage 140 grade 8 students in a school in Govandi is now a collective synergy that is working across 3 geographies, empowering and growing a movement of passionate educators and empathetic learners. This ripple effect goes beyond classroom walls and school gates. It is seen impacting communities, presenting them with limitless possibilities, and building a future where no one is left behind. And it all starts with opening that one closed door. Alright friends, that's all from us for today's episode. If you're left feeling curious or inspired, do check out Barefoot's social channels or get in touch with Subhankar himself. If you think that someone in your family, a friend or a colleague will find this episode insightful, do share it with them. That's how we can grow our community of change partners and continue amplifying stories of impact. Thoughts, suggestions, feedback, they're all very valuable and welcome here. Do write to us or chat with us on our social channels. Until next week, stay safe and have a good think about what you're grateful for today.